Kevin. I guess first off, what is the mindset going into training camp? You took care of some important business with the naming of the captain. Rick mentioned that you've got to be better after the way things went last year. So what about you? What's your speech to the guys?
So this is an exciting time. I think that, again, there's two kind of milestone, moments in the, in the year where, you get really, really excited. Training camp is one of them, obviously. You get a chance to get back as a group, see all the players, all the guys. If there's some new faces, you get, acclimated with them. Some of the veteran faces, you talk about, how things are going to get better and how you're going to, continue to push. And then obviously the other one is the playoffs. Those are the most exciting times when you get those things started. So we're excited to get things started here. I think that, anxious to see, what some of the new look of the players and how that meshes and how that, kind of coincides with the overall vision and get things started.
Because of the quality of the players on expiring contracts for this franchise in particular, would it be an exaggeration to say this will be the most defining season of the 13 that you've had so far?
So it's an interesting time right now. Obviously, we're going through, and hopefully, knocking on wood here, coming out of, the pandemic type of cap system and how you have to manage things. I don't know that the unrestricted free agent side of it or potential unrestricted free agent side is different, than other teams as well, because, over a period of time, you have players under contract. Obviously, we've had the, we'll call it flat cap, but, minimal increase in the cap over the last couple of years, and you've had to manage that, kind of accordingly. And even though the projections, of the cap, going up, a certain amount is something that everybody is hopeful of, you're still going to have to manage those assets, and we'll see how it all plays out. But that aside is really, I know those are all kind of talking points and things that everyone's kind of concerned about, but at the end of the day, we're here to play the game, we're here to win. And, that's what this group, I think, is really going to be focused on. You've got to make the playoffs first. I think that's the single most important thing that, everyone, needs to, keep in their mind. They need to play a certain way in order to earn that right. And then once you get there, you have to pay the price. You have to do the things. You have to take it one step further to try to achieve your ultimate goal. We didn't do that, and I think everyone to a man, knows that the process starts now.
Kevin, every negotiation is different, but was there anything you could take from the Ladd and Byfuglien situation? I mean, it's similar to some degree. You had your captain and one of your most important players. Was there anything you learned from that process that you will take into these negotiations? Well,
I think that you've learned obviously that either of those different negotiations went one way or another. Obviously in the Ladd situation, we weren't in a playoff position. We weren't in a situation where there was an extension in place. In the Buff side of it, we were able to get an extension in place. So everyone is different. How we approach the future of this team, again, that'll be looked at as we continue to move forward. But the main focus that everyone should be concerned about here is the fact that we're here to try to win.
As a general manager, into the season, Kevin?
Okay, sorry, I only.
Which what? The contracts of Mark and Connor. Do you expect that to carry into the season at this point?
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I guess I don't have a time frame, per se on anything right now.
Like in Canadian markets, it can be quite a distraction to have, especially two high-profile guys.
Only if you guys make it.
As general manager, in the first week of training camp, what are you looking for in terms of evaluating the team? When there's close to 50 players on the ice, 2 sessions, what are you looking for and what's that process?
Yeah, so again, early on, there's always a little bit of an evaluation process that does go on. You have a couple of exhibition games early for some of the veteran guys. You're just looking for them to knock the rust off and get acclimated. For some of the younger players, for some of them it's new. For some of them, they're the first time that we're seeing them in an NHL training camp type of forum, and you want to see where they're at. If they've been part of your organization for a year or 2 years or whatever, you're looking for progress. You're looking to see what areas of their game have or need to improve or different things like that. Again, it's a competitive time. It's an exciting time for all the players, but it's a competitive and nerve-wracking time too, I'm sure.
In terms of planning it though, do you kind of start with, okay, we want these players to play this amount of games, then you build up the roster from there because the rules or the requirements and whatnot?
Yeah, so again, there's a certain number of games I think that coaches and veteran players want to try to get players in. I think that, those are kind of the conversations that the coaches have, and you have to see how injuries play out and different things like that for each individual. But you try to give as much opportunity as you can, but there's certain races and competitions and different things that, might need to get more attention than others.
Kevin, I know you said last week at Adam's announcement that you were going to sit down with Connor once he got into town.
Yeah.
Obviously, I assume that's happened.
Yeah.
I know you can't give us details, but can you just categorize what that meeting was like?
It was a good meeting. I think we sat down, we chatted, and again, he's a pro. He's been at this for a long time now, and again, we a lot of the focus of the meeting and that was exactly what I said. Like, we're here to try to win.
When you have players that are going into that final year, is there a potential benefit to the team in that? Not that these guys need extra motivation, but there might be a bit of an extra motivator there. They're playing for their next contracts regardless of who it comes from.
Well, they're all professionals, and they've when you get to a point in time, as a lot of these guys have, they're veteran professionals too. They've been around the game. They know the business side of it. We've all felt the effects of the the flatness of the cap. They know it. We've talked about it in casual conversations when you're not even talking about your own contracts, in general. I think these guys do a good job of understanding where today's game is at and where they're at in their careers, and again, they're professionals.
You look at potentially Morgan Barron, Vlad Nemestikov starting on the fourth line, it would look like you guys maybe have one of the deepest forward groups you've ever had here. Would you agree with that?
So I think I said it when we made the trade. We were looking to add some depth and dimension to the organization, certainly up front, and I think we've done that. And with that, there's lots of competition. It's stiff, and which is good, because you don't know what injuries are going to happen. You don't know how it's all going to play out. You can't look into your crystal ball and even think beyond today. Right. As far as how things might play out. So. I'm like I said, I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see some of the things play out in training camp.
Do you think you guys are tougher to play against potentially?
I guess you'd have to look at it, and to me it becomes a mentality. I think toughness is a different term now, I think, than what it used to be. With respect to the old days of tough. I think you have to be disciplined to a system and disciplined to a belief and set the standards high, and I think that makes you a tough team to play against.
In the spring, we were asking, so what's the focus, what's the vision? You said, hold up, we need to evaluate this, and now very confidently you're saying we're winning now. I imagine that's part of the pitch to Connor and Mark and everybody like that. I'm wondering what the best argument that maybe the world is sleeping on the Winnipeg Jets and their depth and their quality might be right now.
Well, I think that, again, we sat back, we looked at a lot of different things. We made some big moves this summer, obviously, in the trade and the buyout, with Wheels and obviously changing the complexion of the forward group, naming Adam, as captain and the room itself, growing as far as, the leadership side of it. But, everyone's going to sit here in training camp and certainly be excited about their teams and the different changes and the different opportunities that are there. And the longer you're in this, the more you begin to understand that you have to earn it. And each and every player, there's no given right to make the playoffs. There's no given right that you're going to achieve X, in the regular season. This is a tough league, and the players, know that, and I think they embrace that.
What do you want to see from Cole in the middle, and what made it? I mean, in terms of him and Gabe are both great options there. Yeah. Why Cole first, and what do you need to see from him to win the job? Well,
I think going back, you look at some of Gabe's most successful times last year. I think was on the wing. I think he can ramp up his production in there, and then nothing's, I guess, set in stone or etched in stone. I think you have that good feeling. But we did draft Cole as as a centerman and envisioned him as a centerman at some point in time. In his tenure, I think unfortunately for him, he got derailed a couple of times when guys like Scheifele or something got hurt, and that opportunity might have been there for him, last year, where you would have got that opportunity to play, a bigger role at center. So I'm excited for him. I think, I know how hard he worked this summer. He changed trainers, I believe, and I think he's got something to prove for sure.
Do you think his vision and smarts can help Nikolaj Ehlers too, as he looks to ramp up?
Yeah, again, Nick is, has exceptional speed and has exceptional, abilities. You're looking, for chemistry, and I guess that's partly where, things, kind of start. You got to start somewhere with, trying to develop some things, and again, there's a lot of new parts there. I think that, everyone has an idea of what they want to see when they go out there, but when you kind of wait and see how it all unfolds.
The defense battles too, obviously you've got a lot of great candidates there, maybe kind of more NHL-ready guys than spots. What are you looking for on the back end?
Well, again, I think just that continuation for some guys, to prove that they belong, and the continuation for some of the veteran guys to show that we didn't get the job done last year that we wanted to, and want to take those next steps. So, again, it's a long process, with respect to getting to a point in time in an organization where you feel like you have some depth, and that's a good thing.
Sorry.
Does last year with Kovacevic influence how you sort of play your waiver strategy, maybe let's say this year?
Yeah, again, waivers are an interesting thing. We've made some waiver claims. Obviously, we've lost some players on waiver claims. You don't know. It's a crapshoot, so to speak. But you just have to make your evaluations, based on the best information that you have at the time, and you go from there. So it doesn't necessarily force you to do one thing or another. Players earn their opportunities to get to that point, and again, we're just looking to put the best 6, 7, 8 guys on the roster.
Kevin, just sort of a bigger picture question about the league as a whole. You see a lot of veteran guys that had trouble even getting contracts in the league, guys on PTOs. It's becoming a bit of a younger players league, right? Is that just, and the flat cap, I guess all that is kind of combining to really change the way the game is?
Yeah, I think, it goes back to, to that cap situation where, again, when the cap goes up $1 million, and you think about it, minimum salary was $750 a couple years ago. Minimum salary is $775. It doesn't seem like much, but put that across 10 players, and all of a sudden it all adds up. And those are things that every little bit counts. Like last year, we wanted to make sure that we didn't go over the bonus cushion last year, because we were paying some bonuses to Cole, and we knew that. And that's those. Again, it's hard to explain. It's real dollars, but again, those things come on the cap management side of it. The way we're sitting right now, we look like we should have some ability to accrue some cap space, as we're built right now, or projected to be built moving forward here, which hopefully that translates into opportunities as we move forward.
And built moving forward.
With waivers, like when you're evaluating something.
Appreciate it. With this may seem like an obvious answer, but in case it's not, with the respect to the futures of Mark Scheifele and Connor Hellebuyck, how much of a factor is where you are in the standings come?
I guess you evaluate it at that point in time, but for us, again, I think that the focus on the day-to-day basis is going to be about the process, and then we'll see where things go from there. We're hopeful, obviously, that we earn that right to be a team that's going to make some noise, and that's really what we're focused on right now.
You wouldn't rule out losing them for nothing down the road?
No, I wouldn't rule out anything at this point in time, and I hope that I hope that we're in that situation where those tough decisions have to be made, and again, it is about winning.
Kevin, when Adam was named captain, he said, and I think I have the wording wrong here, but you talked about this being like a new direction. In your words, what do you think that new direction is going to be, or what should it look like?
Well, again, I think the players, it's the players' room, and I think you've heard Bones say that, many, many, many times, is like, great teams are led by the players, and so that's what we're looking for here, is we're looking, for them to take charge. They've been around the game, the group of leaders that are going to be there, and even a lot of the surrounding leadership group have been in the National Hockey League for a long period of time. So we're looking for them to establish, who they are, what they're all about, what their standards are, and hold themselves accountable.
With waivers, like when that happens, like last year you got Axel Jonsson-Fjällby, and as you said, it's a crapshoot, but what's the process of when you get the people that are on the wire, deciding you're going to put a claim in? It must be a quick turnaround. How do you guys handle that from a manager perspective?
Yeah, so it is. Obviously a player goes on waivers. I believe it's 2 p.m. Eastern now, and you don't know if you're going to get that person until 2 p.m. the following day. So literally comes out in an email, and from that point in time, if you're the successful claim, you're notified. If there's no claim, you're notified, and there's different actions that go into there. If you're clearing a roster spot, you move that player to the applicable team. If you've acquired a player, you then get them going. And in some cases, there's visas that are needed. It just depends on the individual. But we've got a great team services group that is right on top of it and ready to go. But again, to claim a guy on waivers, you have to have cap space, you have to have roster spots, you have to have a lot of different things. So it's an interesting time.
How quick's the decision to do it? Like how quickly from when you get the list to making the claim does your management group make that assessment?
It depends. You have, like I say, you have 24 hours. You can put a claim in the minute you get the waiver notice. Doesn't matter. It obviously goes to the team that is in reverse order from their previous year's finish, I think, up until November, and then it's current year's standings and stuff like that. So it depends. Like sometimes things are done because you have an injury. Sometimes things are done because you have a need or you like a guy. There's different reasons at different points in time why you choose to go that waiver route or not.
You've mentioned before how you like how Rick is quite candid. Did you talk to the players after those meetings when, they publicly criticized their coach for publicly criticizing them?
We were all in the exit meetings. Bones, myself, Larry and Zinger, we were all in every exit meeting with the players, and so again, there was nothing that was said that wasn't out in the open, to the group there, and emotions are running extremely high at that point in time. Certainly, right after a game where you're eliminated, the level of disappointment really can't be measured, and again, whether it was a pristine game that you lost in overtime or a game that got away from you, at the end of the day, you're done. And, there's the harsh reality of that, comes into play. The moment that a player, starts accepting that or starts not being upset or, angry that they lost, then that person or player should start thinking about maybe a different profession. So I love the fact that there's emotion from the coach. I love the fact that there's emotion from the players.
So you don't think it'll linger in a negative way in their relationship?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think that Bones is pretty clear that, I'm going to hold you to a high standard and I'm going to be fair. And again, there's going to be a level of acceptability and accountability that, needs to come from the players first. And that's what we want to establish here.
Rick said he learned more about the group by how things went down the stretch. Was there anything that you learned about them?
Well, again, I think that, every team is going to face adversity at different points in time. I think, again, I learned a lot about how, we faced adversity as a group when we lost, Nikolaj Ehlers for the period of time that we did and different other guys, at different periods of time. The hard part was we couldn't overcome losing, JMO. We couldn't overcome losing, Scheifele in that Vegas series. But that's not an excuse. That's an opportunity for us to look at it. Like, one thing that Bones is very, very open about it. He says he's not here to find excuses. He's here to find solutions. And he said that many, many times over last year, and I'm sure you're going to hear that many, many times over again this year.
Kevin, with all the narratives out there, and I don't know if you're able to clarify this or not, but
I don't read all the narratives, so I don't know.
Okay, well, that's fine. Have any of the 6 players who are on expiring contracts, who are going into the UFA status, or their representatives ever told you that there's no chance for an extension beyond this season?
Well, again, I've had different conversations with different players, and again, the finality of can you get an extension or can't you get an extension, I think is still to be worked out. But as far as the players' commitment to Winnipeg here, everyone's committed to playing here. Everyone's committed to winning here. Does that mean everyone's going to get an extension, at some points in time? I can't answer that from our perspective, as far as, could we even fit extensions for everybody? I had one comment one time, we talked about the, when we lost all those players after, I think it was 18-19, and it was kind of like, well, I think that group of players was making $24 million at the time, and when they signed with their each respective teams, they made a collective $50 million. So those are things that, again, you just don't have control of. But as far as the players' attitudes and the players' willingness to want to be Winnipeg Jets, I think that's what's bringing the level of excitement to camp right now.
So I'm not going to get a yes or no then?
No.
Thanks, Kevin.